Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Pop the champagne bottles, baby.
Yeah.
NFL is back. Somebody with a premature pop right before the show started. A little too excited. That would be my on-air partner here.
I got champagne all over the desk. I didn't even open it. The thing shot right up. I almost took my eye out.
Yeah, well.
You're going to come on. Put it up. We made it.
Can we call somebody in here to clean up a mess on aisle 5, please?
Oh, man.
Champagne goes all over. You're a big champagne guy, by the way.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Instant headache.
Yeah, Palm loves it too. That's a good observation. Good call. I get a headache every time.
Every time. It's automatic.
Yeah, damn right.
But it feels great to have it back. On the program today, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. Going to have him for a couple of segments. And how about Phil Hellmuth making his Follow the Money debut a little bit later on, Paulie?
I dodge bullets, baby.
He is part of the Fade Us Sports podcast. Now with the VSiN network of podcasts that we have here available wherever you get your podcasts. I heard Mike Matusow on, one of his co-hosts on the podcast on last night with VSiN Primetime. Oh, my God. He admitted to flat out being a total degenerate when it comes to sports betting. I want to know what Phil's like. He also was talking trash about Phil.
Yeah.
He said he only plays favorites. He said that Phil has like 10 favorites already in pocket for this week.
Wow.
So I want to see if Phil's going to talk smack back at Mike. All right. It's here, man. Have you done anything with this game at all tonight yet?
Oh, I got a lot. More action than John Wick movie,
Anything
baby.
additionally to what you had in pocket yesterday?
Well, I thought John Hansen has a great article up on vsin.com and put me on some more props. John with an excellent breakdown on several props. I know I'm going to ride with you on Lamb over. I thought Sal Pal was excellent yesterday on Devontae Smith. Made a strong case for Smith over and also to get him involved, and he expects a big year from Smith. Then John Hansen comes over the top saying Eberflus, second most cover 3 coverage last year with the Bears, and he thinks Smith is going to benefit from that and go off and he'll get high 50s, low 60s as well. He thinks it's free money with Williams over receiving yards. Javonte, the Cowboys running back, he's going to be on the field most of the time, and the guy can't get 13 yards receiving. He likes his receptions over as well. And Turd Ferguson, a deep cut. So the last time we saw the Eagles, they played an unbelievable game, dismantled and destroyed and embarrassed Mahomes. 2 garbage touchdowns at the end, misleading score. But prior to that, they could not contain the tight end in the 2 playoff games, and especially the NFC Championship. Ertz had 16 targets and 11 catches in that game in the duo in L.A. Higbee got hurt, then Parkinson came in. So if you take those 2 games, they had 20 for 167 and 3 scores. Ferguson has a low number for yards tonight. I wouldn't put you off any time touchdown as well, but he's got several props and a terrific write-up on vsin.com, and he put me on some more. And then, of course, we'll get nuts with the kicking props coming up later.
Sure. Well, I can expand on that here in a little bit as well. I did all the deep digging that you need on Brandon Aubrey, the amazing kicker for the Dallas Cowboys, comparing him to Jake Elliott tonight, his counterpart for the Eagles. That is coming up in a little bit. Did you know that Jalen Hurts has scored Philadelphia's first touchdown of the game 19 times in the last 3 years?
Oh, strong.
Did it 6 times last year. Barkley also did it 6 times last year.
Well, I had to play the Glenn and Quincy prop, too, then.
Under 1.5?
Under 1.5 shortest touchdown.
I think we will get at least a couple of attempts tonight with the tush push. It's who they are. It's what they do. So we could absolutely see that. Hurts is plus 285 in that neighborhood to score Philly's first touchdown of the game tonight. That's a very low number. And, of course, because of his history, he and Barkley are, almost unbettable in my opinion. But also, did you know that Saquon Barkley did not score a touchdown against Dallas last year? In the first game, he had 14 for 66 on the ground, 1 catch, 12 yards, no touchdowns.
Blowout.
They both were, right?
Yeah.
Dak did not play in either game. And in the last game against Dallas, he had 31 carries for 167 yards, 2 catches for 2 yards, and no touchdowns in that game.
In that game, Smith had 120 and 2 scores.
Yes.
Another reason for Smith over tonight.
Barkley,
as well. Yep.
You might be able to find a better number. I was looking at plus 140 earlier today to not score in the game tonight. Because he's so high on the yes, books are going to start to offer the no on more of these guys. So I thought that was interesting. But again, the main guys for the first touchdown for the Eagles last year, Barkley hurt 6 times each, Brown 3 times. If you go back, Philly cashed, this is last year, the first touchdown in every game from week 14 to the Super Bowl. They scored the first touchdown in 16 out of 21 games they played, and playoffs included, obviously. Dallas scored the first touchdown only 6 out of 17 regular season games. But again, you wipe away Dak from half the slate, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. He is minus 170 to throw a pick. You believe that?
That high on? Well,
yes.
The thought is,
this is like Winston territory.
His attempts for the game tonight is a high 30, so...
Yeah. It's all right there for us.
You figured that he's going to be slinging it around so much. That
Eagles have the lead. Cowboys playing catch-up. Horrible Dallas defense. We think can't run the ball. I don't see how he doesn't get to 250 yards passing. He's got to get that as far as I'm concerned. And then plus the history, when the champs or home team open up the season, I got him a 16-4 straight up run. Hasn't been great ATS, but they win the game. So it's interesting that there's no talk of repeat. This is a different year. They won't be on the field when they unveil the banner. Sirianni and company saying all the right things. A.J. Brown, we moved on. We're the champs. Okay, different year. Let's go get them. Let's take out the Cowboys here. And this is, so I got them a 16-4 run. And as you pointed out, both games were a blowout last year. No problem with Philadelphia.
Is there something to this angle? I was watching a preview earlier today from the DGen Weekly on X. Does a really good job. Cool dude, too. I met him out here in Las Vegas before. Lives on the East Coast, I believe, in New York. He thinks that based on Schottenheimer being the head coach, and you go back and look at his history as an OC with the Seahawks, what did they like to do more than anything else? Establish the run early and often.
Right. They couldn't stand him there. Right.
Right. And even a guy like Chris Carson had a career high back, 7-8 years ago now with more than 1,200 yards rushing. I like Chris Carson quite a bit. He only lasted a little bit because of neck injuries in the NFL. But is there an angle there where we're going to be frustrated tonight watching the game because Schottenheimer, again, that's what he does. That's his MO. We're going to try to establish the run, keep the running game going, even if they're really good defensively at slowing us down in this game tonight.
Yeah.
And we see heavy running behind Javonte Williams trying to lead this Dallas Cowboys ground game.
Yeah.
I could see that being an angle because of Schottenheimer.
Yeah, could be. Now, I think the bigger question is, because what was the whole talk the first month of the season? These kickers are too good. And 50 yards was automatic.
That was your talk, yeah.
We got to narrow the goalpost, right? It's not fair. And Boswell was 6 for 6 in the week 1 game, and it was, guys are hitting from 55, no problem. So Big Mike didn't care. He would trot that guy out from 60 like it was a layup.
Yep.
And most of the time he made him. So that's my big takeaway. And what's Schottenheimer going to do? Does he realize he might have the best kicker of all time? And just say, 4th and 7, 4th and 6, I'm trying a 55-yard field goal. And he was 14 of 17 last year from 50 plus. I think one was blocked. He hit from 65, 60, 58, 57, and 55. So again, nothing's a lock. But I love these bets where every Cowboy game, it's $1.20 for the Cowboys to make the longest field goal.
Actually, Paul, you know what?
The
number moved in our favor. It's even money.
Are you kidding?
No, I have to bet that.
Yeah.
It's got to be a bet.
In 2023, he was 10 of 10 from 50 plus. Hit from 60, 58, and 55. Plus, you have all the issues I don't trust the Philly kicker.
I have numbers on that.
Yeah.
Now, last year, Jake Elliott was 1 of 7, 50 yards plus. His longest field goal on the year was exactly 50 yards. If you go back to 2023, he was much better, 7 of 8 from 50 plus, but his longest was 61. And I looked at every single game log from a season ago. I mean, it's from week 1 to week 6 before the bye. This is the longest field goal made by Aubrey in each game. 57, 52, 65, 60, 55, and 50. He was only out-kicked for the longest made field goal in a game 5 times on the year. The first time was week 18, and then it happened 4 times from week 12 to week 18. But other than that, he absolutely, and
he's also backup quarterback. Sure, okay.
That's exactly right. And they weren't scoring as many points in some of these games, so he didn't have the opportunities to do so. Mm-hmm. But even money, that's one of those things where if I lose, fine, I lose. But even money on him to have the longest field goal of the game has to be a bet, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Both teams to make a 33-yard field goal is also even money. So welcome back, primetime games. And all your kicking props and all the props are available. A low number here at Circa. Defense or special teams touchdown, no, minus 260. It's $3 in the game tomorrow. NFL's back tonight. It's here. We made it. And get VSiN's NFL Betting Guide 2.0. Post preseason team updates, proven betting systems, contest strategies, and best bets from week 1 and beyond. Pair it with the College Football Betting Guide and get both for as little as $9.99 for your first 30 days. Subscribe now, vsin.com/subscribe. The website's fire. All the guides are phenomenal. Get it now. Never too late. vsin.com/subscribe, and you will fall in love with the prop analyzer as well. And go read John Hansen's prop breakdown on the game tonight. It's great.
I have not submitted it yet, but out of all of the Survivor entries that I have, I believe at least one entry tonight will be on the Eagles. I think
sure.
Not going to do it here at Circa.
All right.
But very close to pulling the trigger on the one over at the Westgate on the Eagles for the game tonight. Win-lose up next. And my prediction, it looks like it came true on what the red zone is going to be like this year. But we will ask you, how are you going to react if a wrecking ball takes out the red zone channel moving forward?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, love it. Let's rock and roll. Our next guest, I'm the president of the fan club. He is a fantasy football Hall of Famer. He comes on this show every single Thursday during the football season to break down fantasy and also player props. GuillotineLeagues.com is the website, FantasyLife.com as well. He is Paul Charchian. Good afternoon, Charch. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. You can see I'm in a hotel room in Minneapolis today because the best part about fantasy football is the live draft with your friends in the preseason, right? It's the backyard. It's the barbecue. It's the guy talk. It's all the, the slaps on the back from last year, who was the champion, whoever finished last. It's all the great stuff that keeps us connected. And I flew back to Minnesota to go to home league drafts. And I think it's the most important thing that you can do in fantasy football is to keep that tradition alive.
Well said.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm in a ton of fantasy leagues.
Can I tell you what bugs me about home league drafts?
Yeah.
In a lot of leagues, it's all the people you've grown up with together. It's all the smack talking. It's all the BS. It's the profanity. It's the inappropriate jokes. It's the periodic nudity. And then somebody decides that they want to bring their kid because that kid loves fantasy football. And they bring the kid to the draft. And the whole vibe changes, right? Now all that stuff's out the window because everybody's walking on eggshells because somebody brought their kid. And the guy who brought the kid's always like, well, he loves fantasy football. He's a great fantasy mind. He won his 8th grade league. So, I'm bringing him and he's my co-owner now. Don't be that guy.
No, you're right. You're right. Well said. I teased this before the break. I don't know which player you're talking about. I don't think Paulie knows who you're talking about. So tell us about the player who you're telling us right now went undrafted in your league, right? Probably across the country. But we need to pick him up right now.
Yes, before the weekend. And I'm not positive how this is going to play out, but we're going to make a case here to pick up Washington running back Chris Rodriguez. Now, over the course of August, when they dealt Brian Robinson, everybody flocked over to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's average draft position went up 100 picks over the course of the month of August. 100 picks. But I don't know that he's going to be the guy who ends up with the big workload there to replace Brian Robinson. Austin Eckler probably, at least long term, ends up in the same role that he's always been, like periodic runner and the pass catcher and third down. Chris Rodriguez is a fascinating 3-year player, big physical back, and in limited work in his previous 2 years, almost 5 yards per carry. And then get this on Chris Rodriguez. He only had 35 rushes last year, which is admittedly very small sample size. But among every NFL player with 35 rushes last year, Chris Rodriguez ranked number 1 in broken tackle rate. He's the likely goal line back for Washington. And if it turns out, we don't know for sure who's going to be the starter, where this thing's going to shake out, but just give yourself a chance to be in on Chris Rodriguez, and because you might have the starting running back on a top 5 offense this year.
Okay, very good.
Would you look for anytime touchdown on him like right now?
Yeah, I bet that's sitting at plus, if it's even bettable, it's sitting at like plus 5,000.
Oh, look.
All right, while you're
I'm
looking.
guessing. So
Yeah.
that's a real opportunity.
I don't see him.
He might not be listed at several spots.
Okay, so give us a guy or two who was selected in the first couple rounds, and his stock is dropping.
The stock is the floor is falling out of Miami running back Devon Achane.
Yeah,
and top 10 fantasy running back last year. We talked about him like 2 months ago, but not everybody has mentally recorded every utterance that we've ever had, Mitch and Paulie, but they should. He was a wizard last year in PPR leagues with 80 receptions, 600 receiving yards, running back 10 last year. But so many negative variables you have to dodge over the course of a long season for Miami, a team that's got kind of a stench of death on them. Bad offensive line. He's got his own injury history, including right now when he's nursing a calf injury, college injury filled, rookie year injury filled. Last year, he dodged the injury bullet, but I don't know that he can do that 2 straight years. And the next sack on Tua could be the last of his career. And here's the real thing that is, I believe, is correctly tanked Devon Achane's average draft position and outlook for this year. It's the emergence of Ollie Gordon,
yes.
the gigantic runner for Miami. Here's another anytime touchdown guy right here.
Yep, plus 255.
He is going to be the goal line back.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
There you go.
I love that.
He's
going to be the goal line back, not Achane. Achane last year on carries inside the 5 converted those carries into touchdowns at the lowest rate of all NFL starting running backs, 21% touchdown conversion rate. They are not going to keep using Achane at the goal line. They're going to go to Ollie Gordon in Miami.
Very good. I did find numbers, by the way, on Chris Rodriguez.
Oh, you did?
Not nearly as high as you
did?
think. No, he's between plus 170 and plus 215 to score anytime. So books are onto this, or either that or else bettors really drove that number down.
Yeah. Is Scatterbo going to be the goal line guy too? He's 3-1 to score.
Yeah, presumed, but he missed all of his rookie training camp, and that takes a lot of the interest away from him for me. But it's not going to be Tyrone Tracy. He's not built for that. It's a converted wide receiver, for Pete's sake. But if there is a game all year where Tyrone Tracy might get the work, it's this one, just because Scatterbo missed so much time. But that is somebody that you could play that angle. Because Tyrone Tracy's just not built for that, and Scatterbo is. That's why they drafted him, is for tough short yardage opportunities like at the stripe. Now we just need the Giants offense to actually get to the stripe. That's a whole other conversation on whether or not they can do that.
Yeah, that's fair. How about a bottom 3 fantasy quarterback with a strong grade Sunday?
I don't know why Joe Flacco was going as the 30th quarterback off the board. I think that is a huge mistake. For the most part, Kevin Stefanski has put together shockingly competent offenses when he's not anchored to Deshaun Watson. Yeah, the Deshaun Watson stuff was killing his offenses, but you go back through Kevin Stefanski's years as head coach, in which he's won Coach of the Year twice. He's been great when he doesn't have Deshaun Watson. Last year they started Watson for 7 games. They never topped 18 points. Jameis Winston rolls in, and the Browns are suddenly scoring 24, 29, 32 points. All Kevin Stefanski needs is competent quarterbacking, and Flacco gives you that and more. If you look at what he did 2 years ago with Kevin Stefanski in those last 5 games of the year, when he powered the Browns into the playoffs, Flacco was fantastic, and so were his receivers. And he's got better receivers now. Jerry Jeudy's good. David Njoku with Flacco 2 years ago was the highest scoring tight end in the league over those games. And then they've got a promising young player, another player that if he wasn't drafted, you should go get, Cedric Tillman as well. And it's against the Bengals. We know how this game script is going to go. Bengals are going to score a ton of points. They gave up the 4th most passing touchdowns last year. The secondary is still no good. And the Flacco's going to be throwing his arm out of socket in this game. I like Joe Flacco. He's way up. It's my quarterback number 12, despite being drafted as quarterback 30 overall.
All right, let's flip it then. And it's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. Give us a quarterback like in the top 12 range overall on the year that you really don't like this week.
All right, let's talk about Justin Fields, your new Jets starter against Pittsburgh. Double revenge game, by the way, for both of the quarterbacks here. But sticking with the Field side, one of my key hesitations, Field is playing against a coaching staff that knows him and his many deficiencies extremely well. There is nothing Justin Fields is going to bring to the table that the Steelers coaches didn't see 1,000 times in practices all last year. And then the Jets losing starting guard, Elijah Vera-Tucker, first-round talent, their best offensive lineman this week. And here comes the Steelers pass rush, ranked number 1 last year by Pro Football Focus. Here comes Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and you've got a secondary with Jalen Ramsey and Joey Porter, Darius Slay. This is a tough spot. And you might be thinking, as you know, Justin Fields is not a great passer anyway, but you might be like, oh, I'm just here for the legs. I'm here for the rushing. Well, Steelers allowed the 4th fewest quarterback rushing yards last year and just 2 quarterback rushing touchdowns all season. I don't like Fields for rushing or receiving or passing in this game.
Okay. I told you last night that I was betting a running back prop in that game, and I did. I took the rookie Caleb Johnson over 17.5 rushing yards, minus 115. Other books had like 24.5, 25.5, but you don't love him against the Jets either, do you?
No, I mean, that line is so low that I could see it, but I have multiple worries about Caleb Johnson. You know, they listed him as 3rd on the official depth chart, but they lie on the depth chart all the time. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. And they love to punish rookies. Coaches are so petty. They love to punish rookies and put them down on the depth chart. It's pretty dumb. But here's what would worry me. Arthur Smith is your offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. He was handed Bijan Robinson with the 8th overall pick in that draft class 3 years ago. So what did Arthur Smith do with Bijan Robinson, whose talent level's on a whole different level, is the 8th overall pick? Bijan was used very lightly for 10 weeks, including not scoring a rushing touchdown until week 8, and he didn't top 62 rushing yards, or he topped 62 rushing yards just twice in 10 weeks. Arthur Smith just doesn't like to use his rookies, and I'm worried it's going to be a lot of Kenneth Gainwell in this game.
Yuck. More with Charge coming up next. We'll have a look at tonight's game, Eagles-Cowboys here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Rolling along here with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian with GuillotineLeagues.com, FantasyLife.com as well. He is on the Progressive guest line. In a couple of moments, we will get his thoughts on tonight's opener between the Eagles and the Cowboys. But as you mentioned in the first segment, you are back doing fantasy drafts in Minneapolis. So you have been around the Vikings and that team. And on KFan, they're the flagship home for decades. You know the team really, really well. What are your thoughts about J.J. McCarthy making his first start on Monday night? And then tell us about a guy, expand on Jordan Mason, who you gave out several weeks ago to lead the league in rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, really optimistic. And I think there's going to be a strong angle here for Jordan Mason. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's start with J.J. McCarthy. Youngest starting quarterback in the league, 22 years old. This is a tough spot for your first start. Not that it's so much national television because he's been in big spots at Michigan, but the NFL is a different beast than that entirely. What worries me a little bit about McCarthy, really 3 things. Number 1, all the tumult at wide receiver for the Vikings. Jordan Addison suspended. Then Adam Thielen just acquired, they were 10 days working together. Justin Jefferson missed all of August with a hamstring injury, so they didn't get a bunch of reps in the preseason with Justin Jefferson. The number 3 receiver, Jalen Naylor, missed most of August with a hand injury, didn't get any reps with him either. The Vikings rebuilt their offensive line. They've got 3 new starters, one of whom's a rookie. Does that all come together in week 1? Maybe, maybe not. But maybe as much as anything else, how much is Kevin O'Connell going to even ask him to do in this game? the Bears have got a fantastic pass defense and a terrible run defense. They did last year, and the personnel is very similar defensively for the Bears. The path of least resistance is on the ground and very limited volume from J.J. McCarthy. This could be a 25 pass game for McCarthy. I don't see a scenario where the Bears are way out ahead and the Vikings are playing catch up. This should be a close, low scoring game, and one in which the Vikings are changing their model as a balanced offense. Last year, the Bears allowed the fewest passing touchdowns in the league, just 17, and 13 of the 17 opponents scored 0 or 1 passing touchdown. I like the under 1.5 passing touchdowns for J.J. McCarthy here. And I believe his passing line is sitting at about, it was at 210, 220 yards?
220, yep.
220. I just think there's not enough volume to support that. Not enough passes coming from J.J. McCarthy to support even that modest kind of number. Last year, 7 different starting quarterbacks against the Bears failed to top 184 yards. So be sure to watch. Bears have got an elite cornerback in Jalen Johnson. Be sure to watch his status, because Jalen Johnson being in or out does change some of this a bit. But if Jalen Johnson goes, I think there's a lot of reasons here to be cautious on J.J. McCarthy, regardless of whatever optimism we may have on him long term.
Okay. Very good. So what does that mean with the running game? Who you want to target? Your buddy?
Well, yeah, the running game here is going to be all about Jordan Mason. I'm really, really excited about where this can go. Kevin O'Connell's repeatedly said going to have a balanced offense. It starts right here, right now against Chicago. Monday night. Chicago ranked 31st in rushing yards allowed last year at 120 per game, and they allowed the most rushing touchdowns in the league last year. This Jordan Mason is the goal line back for Minnesota. He's 20 pounds heavier than Aaron Jones. This is what he's built for. And the Vikings' revitalized offensive line through the middle, left guard, center, right guard, should really suggest this team can get push and be more effective than they have been the past 3 years under Kevin O'Connell, where this team simply could not run the ball inside the 5. Now they're going to be able to do that, and it's all about Jordan Mason. I love the Jordan Mason anytime touchdown. I like him at first touchdown, and I like him at 2 touchdown, which you can get at around plus 1,100. 2 touchdown upside for Jordan Mason in this game against the team that allowed the most rushing touchdowns last year.
Wow. That would be amazing if that would come in for the first week of the season based on all the bets that we've talked about and you've given out on Jordan Mason. Okay, how about tonight's game? The betting market is pretty much expecting a blowout here. The numbers, it was 6.5 last week, up to as high as 9 earlier in the week. Now pretty much 8.5, and no surprise here, money on the over to push it to 48.5 today.
I know everybody's assuming the Eagles. I also believe this is going to be a blowout. I think the Eagles are going to win this handily. The consensus seems to be that Dallas is just going to be able to pass their way to points in the second half of a game that the Eagles don't care about anymore. But I don't even know if that part is true. This could just simply be a one-sided affair, in part because the Dallas running game is awful.
Yeah.
They've got no talent here. Javonte Williams last year was horrible. Among starting running backs last year, Javonte Williams was dead last in yards, second to last in yards per carry, 5th from last in broken tackle rate, second to last in yards after contact. And here's the Eagles' run defense. They allowed the fewest rushing touchdowns last year, just 5 all year. This is a brutal spot for the running game for Dallas. So with no threat of the running game, with the Eagles out ahead, I'm nervous that they're going to be able to pin their ears back, go after Dak Prescott. They've got good cornerbacks, particularly Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are just awesome. That might not leave a lot of room for CeeDee Lamb, for George Pickens. I'm nervous that Dallas isn't even in a blowout, isn't even going to be able to pass their way to a lot of respectable numbers here.
We got a couple tweets on this. Last year in week 1, Hurts ran 11 times. What do you think of that number tonight? I mean, I would say I'd go under then if you expect a blowout, but then who goes off and eats for Philadelphia?
Well, what I love about Philadelphia, and from a fantasy perspective, is they don't have any middling players, right? They've got great wide receivers in Brown and Smith, and then it just falls off the table to Jahan Dotson, who you would never start. And so I like that part. We're starting all of the Eagles that you would consider starting here. As for the 11 rushes, they have no reason to run him 11 times in this game.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll come close to 11 rushes, which is an abnormally high number anyway. But I can't imagine a scenario here where the Eagles need to put their quarterback at risk 11 times. So I don't think that's going to happen. Will Shipley might end up seeing a fair amount of run as the backup behind Saquon Barkley in the second half. And, that might be an angle if you think there's a blowout.
Damn right.
Yeah, people were betting him as high as 12-1.
Was that high?
Yeah, anytime touchdown.
Oh, wow. It's cut in half some places.
Wow.
Oh.
Do we
That's a lot.
get an appearance tonight, or how much of it will we see from Jadon Blue, rookie running back for the Cowboys?
I don't like him. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I didn't like what I saw from him in college. He wasn't able to cement a lead role for very much of his college experience. Comes into this game hurting. I think in any way, even at full health, Jadon Blue, the rookie, 5th round rookie, he's a role player kind of guy, not a workhorse guy. I could see maybe a couple passes coming his way at some point, but I don't think Jadon Blue is going to be a big factor here for better or worse. And one other player I should mention, I've heard some people that are interested in Jake Ferguson, the tight end for the for the Cowboys, and trying to find an angle there. The Eagles allowed the fewest yards to tight ends last year. I don't think Jake Ferguson is somebody you could necessarily pivot to. So
I disagree with you
guys,
on that one.
look, I'm struggling here. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is great, and he's probably going to be fine in totality. But get this, he faced the Eagles in one matchup last year. He got targeted 10 times against the Eagles in that one matchup. He had 21 receiving yards on the game on 10 targets for CeeDee Lamb.
They did get torched in the 2 playoff games at home. Zach Ertz had 16 targets. And then the duo in Los Angeles lit him up too. But I think he can do something tonight. But you're right. It's hard. The only case to be made is, are they throwing the ball, getting their ass kicked in the second half?
Right. All right, pal.
Yeah, that is about it. Now, I want to mention one thing. So I think we've got just a moment. They got the 2 great cornerbacks for the Eagles, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. The other cornerback, Cooper DeJean plays a slot. Adoree Jackson, that's like the one guy. Pickens could abuse Adoree Jackson.
Okay.
Adoree Jackson is 5'11" and he weighs 185 pounds. That's me. Pickens can go out and abuse him downfield. That is the one receiver matchup that I'm interested in. George Pickens got the big body, right? He boxes out defenders. He hauls in those 50-50 balls downfield. That it might be an exploitable angle against Adoree Jackson, who the Eagles used to roast Adoree Jackson. I don't even know why they signed him, honestly. I don't understand why he's on roster, honestly. But that might be something that might be an angle if you're looking for one.
All right, pal. Great to have it back. Thanks for the time as always. Good luck tonight and this weekend.
Thanks. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Great job. As the official horse racing partner of VSiN, First Bet is built for bettors who demand more. First Bet isn't just about placing a bet. It's helping bettors of all levels with handicapping tools that provide data-driven insights to help you make smarter bets. Their tools give you win, place, and show probabilities for each runner so you can quickly and easily identify good value plays and improve your ROI. Take advantage of their limited time $250 sign-up offer, and to claim the bonus, use promo code VSiN250 when you sign up in the First Bet app or at firstbet.com. Promo code VSiN250.
Up next, we will tell you about the player who has scored his team's first touchdown of the game 19 times the last 3 seasons.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We've been looking forward to this. It's going to be a blast as we welcome in maybe the best poker player of all time. He has the most World Series of Poker bracelets ever at 17. He's also one of the hosts of the Fade Us podcast, now under the VSiN network of podcasts, and you can find it wherever you listen to your podcast. Phil Hellmuth in studio today. Great to meet you. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys. Here we go. I sat here last night for the Fade Us sports podcast. Now, I put Mike the Mouth on the far left in the Barkley seat. So I was kind of 4 of us on the panel, so.
He was, obviously, he talks a lot of trash. And he was doing that on the show that follows us about you last night, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, Phil only likes to bet favorites in the NFL. He's got like 10 already for week 1.
he was trying to nickname me Square Peg Phil, which is kind of fun, like, whatever. It's not going to catch on, but it's kind of fun. And I told him to egg him on. We have this contest on Splash Sports where we enter 10 picks against the spread per week. Fun contest. And so it turns out that I chose 10 favorites. So I called him before to tell him that, just to give him a little more fuel.
Okay, there you go.
My second 10 was not all favorites, but yeah.
Okay, very good. So have you gotten into the big boy here at Circa yet? Grandissimo $100,000 buy-in.
No, we have a $50,000 buy-in at Splash Sports. The problem is that the guys are like, no, he's too sharp. No, he's too sharp. No, he's too... It's like they're a little picky on who plays. I call it my billionaire group. A lot of like famous billionaires in that group that are in the... And so they're like, they don't want sharp money, but they'll also play high-stakes poker with me for 10 years, and I've done pretty well. So.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, come on, guys, what are you doing here? We could have... But I think kind of the comfort of like, last year, Antonio Esfandiari, a famous poker player, won it. And the great story behind that is this could never have happened in another league. He entered his picks like 3 minutes late. Every other league, you're just out. So we're like, yeah, of course, we love Antonio. Yeah, of course. You can just tell us who you're going to pick, and it was all good. And we had 2 or 3 people that weren't part of our group that then felt that was unfair and left the league, and we're like, all right, good riddance. How could you leave this league? You get to play with us every year, a bunch of billionaires. And, and then I could never have dreamed that Antonio would then come and win the thing. But I love you, Antonio Esfandiari. Nice job. But that's the nice part about playing with friends.
How often does that happen? And I imagine that's why you have a ton of money, especially when you go back to the moneymaker days, that it's, hey, I can sit down and play with Phil Hellmuth. I don't care if he takes my money over and over and over again, but it's just cool to sit there with Ivy or Hellmuth or Negreanu.
That's the kind of thing that I thought would happen in the 1980s and 90s, and I'd tell Huck Seed, who's now in the Poker Hall of Fame, like, Huck, everybody's going to want to play with us. We're going to do so well. And then it turns out that this group just became my best friends. And it's really fun to be, my friend Chamath Palihapitiya, he's my best friend. And, he, for years he'd say, I'm not your best friend. And then he had to go on his podcast and admit that I was his best friend. But he put together a great group of like some of the world's most successful people, We'll go to Italy with a guy that has a car company and a rocket company. We'll do all these crazy, and so it's just being in that group has led to, now I advise 32 companies. Just those guys I've learned so much listening from them. And then the fact that they're my friends and I can reach out to them that helps me, when advisors come to me, I can say, oh, well, I can put you in touch with so-and-so. And so, yeah, it's been, so to me, it's all about the group. And, we were all in England at the beginning of August playing high stakes poker. And yeah, I've won a lot in the game, but that's the money you win or lose has become secondary to finding a group of friends that can abide, that can put up with me, that know that I'm authentic, that know that I'm honest, and that's kind of what you hope for in life. We all want to have a group of friends that, that loves us.
Very good. Well said. How many bracelets can you win? What do you
24.
think? You really?
Yeah. I'm at 17, side of my hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
And I kind of had, I don't know, I'd called a vision. You guys might laugh me out of the studio. 1993, I won 3 bracelets. And I said, all right, I'm going to win 24. And I'm like, where does this number come from? Is it some sort of vision? Do you feel like, you know what I mean? And from that moment, I kind of went public. I'm going to win 24 bracelets. And so I'm at 17 now. I'm a lot older than you guys think I am. So, hopefully I can compete for another 20 years. We've been known to have poker players be great until their late 70s.
Sure.
So there's still time. I still see the game as good as anybody. They don't always recognize that. That's interesting, right? But the greatest of the great know how great I am, and vice versa in poker. So you just kind of, I know I sound cocky, but a lot of people are against me, and I think I have a lot of deep runs again this year. And the articles afterwards, oh, Phil's still killing it. I didn't feel that way though. I mean, I had 1 third-place finish, but listen, I was one hand away from 3 3 bracelets.
Yeah. So having said all that, maybe the best of all time, an unbelievable network of friends who are extremely sharp,
Jesus
obviously.
Christ, all I do is brag. What the heck is going on here?
So then, but hold on now. Why is the podcast called Fade Us Sports?
Yeah, Fade Us Sports. So the one thing I've done well my entire life is NFL totals. 11 years ago, Peyton Manning went to the Broncos, and the number was, I think it was 8 plus $1.50, something ridiculous. And I'm like, wait, this makes no sense. Yes, I see that he has a torn neck or whatever, but he's going to be back. He wouldn't have gone and signed with Denver if he didn't think he'd be back. So to me, that was super easy money. I bet like $5,000 or $10,000 on it. It hit easily. For a little, I was a little bit worried there after 3-4 games, but it hit easily. They won like a lot of games that year. And then I'm like, oh, I like this NFL. So every year I look at this list and something stands out. Something stands out. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. And so I've learned about more and more. So this year I looked at the list and my first thought is Detroit 10? Of course they're going to win more than 10. And what gives me the confidence is Campbell, the coach. Right? And I'm like, this Campbell is just like, I love his fire. I don't think he's going to let them. But then Mike the Mouse is like, well, they lost both coordinators, which is a good counterpoint. And they're playing against Green Bay and Minnesota. But I just think 10 is so obtainable that I bet $25,000 on that. And then the other one that didn't make sense to me was Pittsburgh. And Mike the Mouth helped me with this a little bit. We looked up the stats on how Rodgers had done the last 10 games of the year. And he was probably a top 6 quarterback the last 10 games of the year. So, and Tomlin's never had a losing season. So here's a guy that's never had a losing season, right? And then you bring in Aaron Rodgers, who finished off, the last 10 games well. And I'm just thinking, wow, this 8.5 is a great bet. So I bet $15,000 on Pittsburgh to win over 8.5 games. Love that. I just hope Rodgers doesn't get injured. But even if he does, Tomlin has never had a losing record. He's never won less games than 9.
So then I would assume that you like them week 1, lane 2.5 against the Jets.
Love them, and that was my NFL pick of the week. Now, okay, all right, folks at home, if you're listening to me now, I've not done well picking against the spread. Okay, I can brag that I'm good at one thing, NFL totals, and I bet enough to cover my whole year of maybe not doing so well. But yeah, I love Pittsburgh. I think they're going to surprise everybody. I think they're going to score 30 points. That defense is unbelievable. J.J. Watt. I mean, you look at Mr. Watt and just the brother, and just the way the defense is played, the way Tomlin coaches them. I can't imagine the Jets scoring more than 10 points. So I think it's going to be a blowout. So that's my number 1 pick.
Okay.
And then, are you involved in the game tonight? Philadelphia Cowboys, Survivor, ATS.
As a matter of fact, yeah, they posted my picks right there. I don't know if you guys are seeing the screen, but
there it is. Yes.
Yeah. So my second pick was the Eagles versus Cowboys. I was able to get down at 7, and my max bet is $2,000. So I max bet it, but I mean, Mike Mattisau and Brandon Cantu have me convinced maybe I'm on the wrong side of this. But I just think that Philadelphia, they're going to be super excited. They're going to score a lot of points. But we know that Dak Prescott is just, he just puts points up, right? We know that Dallas is going to score. I just wonder if Dallas's defense will be able to stop Philly. And so, yeah, I'm thinking that, I like this bet, but I love the Pittsburgh bet.
That's Phil Hellmuth, 17 World Series of Poker bracelets, and the new podcast here under VSiN, the umbrella here. He does it with Mike Mattisau, Brandon Cantu, and David Woodley. It's called Fade Us Sports. A lot of trash talking amongst the 4.
I mean, so we're in the booth right now, right? And you guys know this booth. You're here all the time. Well, right behind us, the other direction, is a bunch of people that are the amazing producers that do all the work here at VSiN, including Brian Musburger, who invented VSiN out of thin air, sold it to DraftKings, bought it back, and, he's just killing it. And those guys and my agent, they were in the booth, and they just busted out laughing 7 times, out of control. They came out and they said, don't change a thing. We can't stop laughing. We're forgetting to press buttons. And so it's just the trash talk of people that have known each other and given each other trash talking for 25 years. That's what I didn't like about a lot of the sports shows. And also we called coaches idiots, stupid, players idiots, stupid. And we realized that no one else talks honestly like us.
It's going to be a great podcast again called Fade Us Sports. Thanks, Phil. We appreciate that.